5, 4, 3, 2. This is K-Wave 107.9, Southern California's home for worship and the Word. Hello there, it's Brian Perez, and in the studio with me today are none other than Joe and Kathleen Pettick from Calvary Chapel of the Harbor, and we are here to discuss the Labor of Love Music Fest. Now, some of you might be saying, wait a minute, is this a rerun? The Labor of Love Music Fest already happened. I think they're playing the wrong audio. No, what we're doing today is a recap of this year's Labor of Love Music Fest, which happened on August 31st at Bolsa Chica State Beach. That date has been embedded in my mind. So we're just here because it's always great. We see you guys normally like a week or so after the event, and we kind of talk about what happened But then I thought this year, you know what? Let's instead of having this conversation out in the hallway,
let's go in here.
Let's come into a studio, open up the mics, shoot video even.
We love
and let people know what happened, the prayers and everything, the volunteers. Thank you everybody for praying and volunteering and coming out. And there's just so many stories that can be told. And we've only got 5 days to do it. And so we're going to go 5 days straight.
5 days straight. Well, there we go. We've got enough material to last. There's enough. I love it. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having us here. We love K-Wave 107.9. We love being on your program. We love the support that you guys have. And I've mentioned this in other interviews, but you guys take it on. It's like your event, and it is. It's your event. It's everyone's event. And we love co-laboring with you. So
we sure do.
We have so many stories, so much. And I want to, kind of feed off what you said. We just want to thank our 450 to 500 volunteers.
Wow.
Thank you. Wow. Because something like this could not happen if it wasn't for everyone that was there. So, we want to personally thank every volunteer that helped us. Yeah. And it was just a team.
You're going to personally thank them by name? Because that'll definitely take 5 days.
Well, you said we have 5 days, so we've got time. We've got a list here. Can we start at the top?
Yes, we'll just start A to Z. Yes. Very good.
But, we want to thank them. So, But again, thank you, Brian. You did such an awesome job in the back there. We have a little studio set up for you in the back, and that.
Yes, it's like my little man cave for the day there in the back. It's kind of cool the way you guys have it set up for us all the time, and all the different artists come back there for the interviews, and this year we did something different where we live streamed the whole thing.
Yes,
and that was the first time. How did that turn out?
Incredible.
Okay,
we had. Because the following Sunday we had like a little testimony thing, and we were giving out numbers, and then we got the latest numbers, and the people that logged on worldwide was 8,000 plus.
Whoa!
With no advertising on our part. Really, we came together. We had to do contracts, and what did we have to do? Capitol Records things, and
we had to sign
a bunch of things to go live
to
make sure everything was good.
We weren't really sure. I think it was like 2.5 weeks before
into
or
the
so
event.
Before the event. And so we weren't advertising it too much and getting it out there. So just at the last, at the very tail end, I think we might have had a week and a half or 2 weeks, we started putting it out there that we're going live.
Yeah.
So we were shocked.
Really, no advertising.
And then 16, I think it was 16 countries.
Around the world.
Israel.
Really?
Australia, Austria, Germany. So many. 16 countries. And then nearly every state in the United States.
Yeah, and not just one or two. I mean, I looked through the thing. There would be like 40 in this country and 70 in that country or whatever. So it was just...
It was incredible. I don't know how they heard. I have no idea.
Encouraging.
It's the power of sharing, I guess, because when you're on the social media, I don't know how that works, but when it comes to sharing and tweeting and retweeting and all that, whatever that means. But everybody telling their friends, and if they're watching a video, they can tell their friends, hey, watch this video. Just like you guys watching this video right now, you can share it with your friends as well.
Yes. Sure.
But really cool how that works. And it's amazing. So let's just say those 8,000 people that were watching online had decided to come to the beach instead that day. I mean, the place was crowded as it was. I got there just before 9 o'clock, and already the parking was, I was like, wait a minute, where do I... There's no way I'm going to park.
They ran out of parking within the first hour before the event even started.
Yes, and I get that. And that was volunteers and vendors and everything else as well. But it was just amazing. And then the first group that was on stage, Anchored 247, they already had the crowd
it was packed at the opening ceremony.
Newsboys or somebody had in years prior. So at 11 a.m., right at the start, it was just...
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well,
And the Boeing parking lot.
I was just going to say that.
Over at the Boeing, you know how we have the Boeing?
Oh, yes, for the shuttle.
3 or 4 lots. They ran out of parking.
We were only supposed to take, I think, because their lots are huge.
They're huge.
And if I'm not mistaken, we were supposed to take one of their biggest lots. It's huge. So we thought, looking at it, we can't fill that lot. We filled all 3 of their lots.
Yes.
And we ran out of room where hundreds of people had to go away.
And we ran out of buses too. We had 5 or 6 buses.
6 buses, I think, this year.
And next year, they're estimating we need at least 8 to 12 buses.
Yeah,
and another
just to keep
more
up with
parking
the crowd.
lots like Boeing.
They did real good at the beginning, and then but at the end, it just the lines just kept growing.
People
and
had
growing
to leave.
And growing.
Yeah.
Where
they
literally,
I don't know what we would
we
have
have
done.
pictures of hundreds of people just
waiting in line.
Yeah, and they just ended up leaving because there was just so. We want to fix that. We didn't realize we'd have so many. We didn't anticipate.
Also, all along the beach area.
Yeah.
You must have saw the pop-ups, the large tents.
Yeah.
They would arrive, and some had arrived the night before with the tents, with the pop-ups. They put them up, and it was.
You guys are going to need a bigger beach.
I know. We need a bigger beach.
Keep go into the water.
Yeah,
or something. I don't know.
Boats. We'll have to get up.
Boats. There you go. People can watch from the boats.
But we keep moving it back. We keep making more and more room.
We are making it bigger every year.
We keep making it bigger, but I guess we're not pushing it back far enough. So.
Right.
But that's a good problem to have.
You guys are just going to have to buy that Jack in the Box there on the corner.
Wow.
There you go.
Jack in the Box were slammed.
They
were slammed. We had a lot of food vendors, as you know, in the park, which I don't even know which ones we had. I know we had Chick-fil-A, of course, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Domino's Pizza.
But here's the deal. Jack in the Box was slammed. All those little food places across the street, Subway and all that. We had Subway in the park, though, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Subway was there with us.
We shouldn't be advertising.
Yeah,
okay. Erase that. Can you edit that? But seriously, though, everywhere, and one of our other vendors, they ran out of food. They ran out. Wow. They sold everything out, I think, early on.
Yeah.
So this interview here is kind of like setting the stage for next year. What I want people to do is to start getting involved now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Either, signing up to volunteer or actually, I don't even know if you can sign up to volunteer for next year yet. You can definitely help sponsor the event or be a vendor or donate or whatever the case might be. Right. If the sign-ups aren't happening right now, just set a reminder on your calendar on your phone or something 6 months from now or something. Check back and see what's going on, see how you can get involved.
Yeah. Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that because for sponsors, it's really like a win-win for both sides because we do a lot of advertisement. As you know, we have billboards we put up. We also have,
John
for
Wayne
the first time, John Wayne Airport.
Yes.
We have electronic billboards basically inside the airport at the baggage checkout. There's one there, and so it's good advertisement for companies.
Yeah.
So we're looking for Christian companies that would like to get involved because it gives them great exposure and they get to invest in the kingdom. So we're excited about that. So we're going to need, because of the event as it grows, we need more sponsors to be able to put on to make it work. So
one of my favorite ads was the banner, the big banner across Main Street. Oh, is it in Seal Beach?
Yes. Near the pier.
You sent me a photo of that, and I'm like, I've got to go see this for myself. So I did.
Good. Yeah, you
Give me an
drove down
excuse
there.
to go to Seal Beach. Just I haven't been there in a while, but
there was one in Seal Beach and one in Main Street, Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach.
Right on
and then
pier,
a billboard on PCH.
Too, so.
The big billboard on PCH.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm talking to Joe and Kathleen Pettick from Calvary Chapel of the Harbor. It's a recap of the Labor of Love Music Fest at Bolsa Chica State Beach. You were there. You were one of the thousands that were there. If not, make plans to come out next year. I already checked the calendar. Next year, this year's event was on the last Saturday of August. Next year's event is on the first Saturday of September. And it's on the 5th. Because that is the Saturday before Labor Day. So
see, he's ahead of everybody.
Man, I love it. Well, it's his event.
I'm already booking bands for you guys. No, I'm joking. But no, seriously. And when do you guys start planning who's going to be there?
Right away.
Almost immediately.
Next year, right away. So those of you watching, maybe you can type on the comments or something who you would like to see at a future Labor of Love Music Fest. And not that we can promise that your favorite band will be there. And if you are your own favorite band because you're a musician, don't put your name on it. I'm joking. You can, I guess. But anyway, so you've already started looking into.
We're already starting. So we have meetings first with the State Beach, make sure the dates are good and everything, and we're going through that process. Got it. Within the next few weeks, we should be, getting in contact with the bands.
Right. So we've talked about all the people that were watching online, all the parking or lack of parking, because there were so many people, lack of food, etc.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what people really want to hear, the stories, the testimonies that you guys heard there on the beach that day. And again, this is definitely going to take the next 5 days.
Yes, so this is going to take a while.
Well, first of all, I want to say,
go ahead.
If you don't mind, I don't want to forget this. By, I think it was 4 p.m., 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon, we had already given away 807 Bibles.
Really?
807 Bibles.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So that was,
So we're going to need more. We're going to need more Bibles.
Need more Bibles.
Yeah. One of
bigger beach and more Bibles.
Let's just start the list now.
We're not asking too much.
Well, we have the flyover, which was great.
4 aircrafts.
4 aircrafts.
Yes, that was beautiful.
The vintage aircrafts as we sing the national anthem, and
then they came back and did a loop.
Yeah, that was a highlight. I told the congregation on Sunday morning the reason why we do this. We have all these officials. So we had Orange County officials, state officials. We had city officials. Lynn Semeta,
9 of them on the stage.
Mayor Pro Tem, and so we had 9 officials. But it's not like for us. The reason why we do that, and I explained that in the green room to all the officials there. I said the reason why we want you here is because the Bible tells us in Romans 13 that you are ministers of God. So I said, you may or may not know that, but God has called you to be in government over us. Yeah. And you make decisions that affect every one of us here. So we want to have you up there that we can pray over you, that you guys would make good decisions based on the leading of God and His Holy Spirit. And it was a moment.
Wow. Yeah, it was
when
a holy
I did
moment.
That. It was a holy moment. I mean, there was tears in eyes. There were just tears coming out of their eyes. And
this is parties from both sides. It's not just one.
Right.
Yeah.
Both sides.
And so that was great. But when we were on stage there and the aircrafts flew over, and this is our 3rd time, and it's like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you've got it's just a moment when you see, like, really, is this, that we've got the Air Force flying over as we sing the national anthem, and it says, is this really happening? And as I was thinking that, Lynn Semeta, the Mayor Pro Tem of Huntington Beach, she looked over at me and she said something like this. She goes, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And I was like, that's, so I'm like, wow, she gets it too. This is such so that was to start off, that was a great start.
It was a wonderful start.
And then you wanted to share?
Well, I was just thinking that, our prayer team, they had William, who heads up our prayer team this year. He had 34 on his team. They started early. They even had 4 people left from Fresno at 5 a.m. in the morning
to be in the prayer
to be a part of the prayer team.
Yeah. Nice.
They had to be there by 9:30. So he was blown away, and they were praying in the tent and out. Also, just going up to people, what do you need prayer for? And they were just blown away with the amount of ministry that was going on. Real, genuine, awesome prayer. He was super impressed. And we had people actually fly in from all over to volunteer. Chicago, Texas. Our stage manager, who's part of our church, he had moved to Texas for a year and a half. He's now moving back home here. But he was the stage manager on The Tonight Show for 17 years. So great part of our Mark Savali, wonderful brother in the Lord. Without question, just flew in. That's last year and this year he flew in. And then Sam Strait, who goes to our church, she was a TV reporter. And she was the one that was co-emceeing with Dad.
That's a testimony of
all these testimonies,
God's hand on this event. Just all these professional people coming together to make something like this work. But as you know, Brian, the main thing is the gospel going out and lives being saved. That is the main reason why we do this. And
it is.
And we saw so many people accept Christ. So many come down to get baptized.
One story. An hour and a half they were baptizing.
Yeah, we were baptizing for an hour and a half. So
really,
yes.
So that's starting at 5:30.
At 5:30.
Because that's when the baptism
started. 5:45, and
by the time it started. Yeah, right around that 5:30, 5:45. But for an hour and a half, we were baptizing. There were so many people, and standing out in the water and just looking at the shoreline and just seeing all the people is just another moment. Like wow. But
many revivals.
Great testimony. There's a few that stand out. Is that one of our security team, someone that's on our security team, he saw these gang members, a bunch of these gang members, and they had tattoo tear drops in there, meaning that they've killed someone, I guess. So he was kind of keeping a close eye on them and wondering, what they're going to do. And he said, when the gospel went out, he said every one of them raised their hand to receive Christ. And so he went over to them to see how they're doing, and they're all just weeping and crying as they gave their life to Christ. So that was a huge testimony of the power of God's Spirit working in the midst of the event as the gospel went out. Yeah. So that was one that really stood out.
It's holy ground, as you've heard me say this before, but it becomes holy ground, it turns into a cathedral. The beach turns into a cathedral, and that's for sure what happened, because people are searching. Yeah. People are afraid. People are, they have a lot of questions. What's my purpose? What am I doing here? And they stumble on this incredible music, which is the great draw. Even Danny Goki doing he was going to do an Earth, Wind and Fire song. He did the Doobie Brothers, Without Love.
Without Love.
You should have seen with his, he did the dance routine and everything with his horn section.
Without the love of Christ, where would we be right now?
Nice. But it was drawing the people in, Brian. And so it was very strategic. Because it's an outreach. Yeah. And so even he turned that into a holy thing because these people are there. And then he was incredible. I mean, all of the artists were incredible. Yep. Yeah. But, who knows what went through those people's minds as they were going to, cycling past or jogging or whatever. They were stopped in their tracks with the love of Christ.
And it's all about planting seeds, too.
Exactly.
So even if these people didn't make a decision that day. Right. There's still the seed that's been planted in their lives, and it could be another few months or years or whatever. Sure. They might start thinking back on what they heard, and maybe they picked up a flyer or a bumper sticker or something at the K-Wave booth, and they're going to tune in one Saturday afternoon and hear you guys on the radio and say, oh yeah, that's that church that put on that concert.
Yeah.
And, but you never know.
I believe in heaven, people will come up to the artist or Joe, myself, or many of the volunteers, and say thank you. August 31st, 2019. I was saved.
That's why we want to gear up the live streaming better. This was our first time doing it, and so we learned a lot, and so. Thinking that we could reach even more people for the gospel's sake and plant more seeds. And so we're excited on just gearing up and doing a better job at that. So we're working on that even now as we speak. We're working on that.
Right. Yeah, I heard that because the thing about the live stream is it was streaming live that Saturday, and it's going to be on the website for like a few months. It's not up there right now.
I didn't.
They're still doing some editing.
There's some editing and things that need to happen, but it's going to be up there. So in case you missed any part of it, I guess you can watch it from the beginning.
Yeah, and you can go on laboroflovemusicfest.com. That's where we're gonna put it on there.
Yeah. So that's also the website where you can sign up, or to find out what's going on or whatever, volunteer, donate, etc.
Yeah. Sure. But another testimony that was just really touched my heart is there was a family of 3 that were there, and they went down to get baptized, and Sam Strait was doing interviews. She was sensitive about who to interview, and she just noticed this family, and she thought it'd be a good family to get on camera, and so we have the interview. And basically, there was a man he heard on the radio, probably K-Wave 107.9, heard that this event was going on. He lived 2 hours away from the event, but he brought his family, his wife, and his 16 or 17-year-old daughter. They drove in, and all 3 of them prayed to receive Christ when the message went out, and they went down to the water. All 3 of them were baptized. And just to hear them try to articulate what's going on, and it was just so refreshing. No Christianese, and they were like, when the pastor said all your sins can be forgiven, that was the moment for us that that our sins could be forgiven. And they said today was the day, and so we see many times we see one person get saved, and then down the road the family gets saved, but right there the same day all three were saved on the same day, and God touched all 3 of their lives, and you can tell as they're doing the interview that God truly just touched each one of them.
They were glowing. Yeah. They were glowing, every one of them. Yeah. And like he said, there was no Christianese. He was saying like reborn, and it just was so refreshing for us to watch that video. And and he said, and then the pastor says, all my sins are forgiven. It's like, wow, it hit him. Yeah. It hit him. And that's why it's all worth it. This is all, it's all worth it. It's all worth it, even if it was just one soul. It's we're humbled by it. We're humbled by the move of the hand of the Lord.
Absolutely.
Could I add one more thing?
Yes.
Our part of this is we're watching this young generation. In some ways, we're losing the young generation. And I see that in our church. I've seen it in other churches. I talk to other pastors, and when they go to college, they graduate from high school, and it's like, and we're trying our best to reach this generation. And so that's why we had Ben Corson there. He is a good way of reaching the younger generation. We had Madeline Carroll with us also, and
they both hung out the entire day.
And so
they talked in the morning, but they stayed all day. They loved it.
And they speak more. I mean, I'm 55, I'll be 56 years old. They're able to speak their language better than I could ever do.
I'm sure not going to tell my age.
He knows better.
So we're excited about that. And and the music, we're trying to get, we had the Young Escape, as you had them here, and did an interview, and they're just wonderful. We had them at church.
They sang, did some special music the next day at the church.
Yeah, just to see, we love seeing the younger generation on fire for Jesus. And
it's thrilling.
It's thrilling. It's exciting to see. And so that's part of our heart also with the Labor of Love Music
Because the thing about seeing the younger generation on fire for Jesus, it's not just that they're on fire for Jesus, but they're also not getting involved in the muck and the mire of the world. Know what I mean?
Exactly.
And for a lot of us, it's like, been there, done that. We don't want you to have to go through that. Please just follow Jesus now.
Exactly.
And learn from my mistakes.
Exactly.
You don't have to go through all that.
You don't want to go through what we went through.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet then to see, I think, people traveling in, we call it backyard missions at our church. And we see all, we as you know, we do a lot of the arts with the plays, and happening soon here in a few months, which I'm already working on. But we see that's the little area where the Lord has really blessed our church in as much as, we're able to do these art form ways of presenting the gospel. And in a simple format, the gospel's simple, but yet it's a great platform. And Labor of Love, for sure, is a huge platform for that.
And music speaks all language.
Yes, every language in the world.
Every language in the world. It's amazing. On the beach, with the testimonies we receive of people just there, they're just walking down the boardwalk or riding their bike, and the music just
literally
strikes them and stops them, and then they hear the message, and then they give their life to Christ. So we're blessed to be able to have and I like, we kind of, at our church, we call it that. It's backyard missions. And that's what we're called to do. We're trying to stay in our lane. That's what we're called to do. I have pastor friends, they're called to missions, over, across the sea, and others are called to, in political arenas, which is great. They're used in that way. And
stay in your
however
lane,
God wants. I don't want to. I've had other pastors come to me and say, "Can you believe they're doing that? They never should be doing that." And I'm like, no, listen to them. They're called to do that. That's what they're called to do.
They're running in their lane.
They're running in their lane, and they're God's hands on them, and that's what God's called them to do. I feel the same with us. We're called to do backyard missions. It's what we're called to do, and it's effective, and we know it's God's will. God's hand is on it. So we're excited to see just how God has just taken this to a whole nother level.
Right. But now via the web, though, we are reaching the world, obviously, with the with that live feed. I need to get my play on a live feed. How can I do that?
Hey, there you go. So tell us about this play. It's at Calvary Chapel of the Harbor, because everybody's wondering, what's this play?
Yes, it is. We have about 80 people in our cast. It's like a Broadway musical. I've got the Christmas Carol, but I've written backstories to it.
Okay.
And the music was all composed, and it's a fun, very professionally put together. The actors, people think that we hire professional actors. We don't. I get to direct them, coach them. Rehearsals actually start next month in October. Auditions is in 2 weeks for the play. But it's another wonderful outreach. This year we're doing it over 2 weekends, December 6th, 7th, 8th. Friday the 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Okay.
So it's over 2 weekends, and we are very excited. People lined up last year for about 3 hours, some of them, to get in.
Wow.
We are packed out, and it's at the church, and it's free, but it's not a free standard. It's more like you paid a lot of money for a ticket, but we don't. Nobody gets paid really for it, but
right. It's a wonderful way we're able to get people in the church that would not necessarily go to church.
Yeah, but they love theater.
They love theater.
Yeah.
So the word gets out, and it's done in such a professional, wonderful way that they literally walk from all the homes there, the condos, and we're packed. I mean, they stand in line for hours to get in. And so we get them in the church, and then at the end of it, we share the gospel, and people respond to that. So,
very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
It's where the arts meet the faith, at the crossroads of art and faith.
Exciting things happening at Calvary Chapel of the Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
Not just Labor of Love Music Fest, but so much other stuff going on.
There's always something going on at the Harbor.
Yeah, because if you only did something once a year, I mean, come on.
Then we've got Harvestival and the Halloween thing.
Oh, man.
It just goes on and on, But the play, those two are the biggest, though. The Labor of Love and the Christmas Carol. For sure.
Very nice. I've been speaking with Joe and Kathleen Pettick from Calvary Chapel of the Harbor, the church that puts on the annual Labor of Love Music Fest, and a whole lot more, too. But we've just been discussing this year's Labor of Love, which was about a week and a half ago, and all that the Lord did and all that the Lord continues to do. And just such a fun event, all the prizes that were given away. And which reminds me, if you won a Labor of Love Music Fest prize pack here on K-Wave, those are going out this week, or they might have already gone out. So you should be getting yours in the next few days if you haven't already. But just wanted to put that out there because people always will start calling, I didn't get my prize pack yet. It's like, well, hold on. The contest is still going on. We ship them all at once, not one at a time or whatever. Yes. But
be patient. Be patient.
Yep. So get more details at laboroflovemusicfest.com and find out if there's a way that you can get involved next year. There are many ways for you to get involved as a vendor or a volunteer or a prayer partner, or you can even help financially. But laboroflovemusicfest.com is where to go to find out more. All right, guys. Joe and Kathleen Pettick, thank you so much for stopping by the K-Wave Studios.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, you can hear Pastor Joe Saturday afternoons at 1:30 here on K-Wave on his Glory to Glory radio program, Bible teaching program. So check that out.
I always like ending, if I can, I always like to mention the fact that we love K-Wave 107.9. You guys have been great to us, and you guys are a great light out there in the world. So keep up what you guys are doing.
Thanks,
we love you
man.
guys.
We appreciate it.
K-Wave 107.9. We love you guys.
Thanks, man. All right, Brian Perez signing off. Thanks so much for watching and listening here on K-Wave 107.9. God bless.